Welcome back. We've been looking at denotation and connotation. In this segment, we're going to be looking at literal and figurative language. If you use a word or expression in its literal sense, you use it with its ordinary, everyday meaning or with its main meaning. If a person uses literal language, it is true to fact and used in a completely usual way with its primary or basic meaning. So literal language, it basically is what it says. That's what we're really saying. Literal language is used to make a direct, straightforward statement. Let's look at some examples. My school is in Fifth Road. That's exactly what it means. That there's a place called Fifth Road and that's where my school is. That is its literal meaning. But look at this sentence. I'm coming to the end of the senior phase and I'm starting on a new road. Now, you don't actually mean that instead of walking to Fifth Road, you're going to walk to Sixth Road. What do you mean? Well, if you're ending one section of your school life, it means you're beginning on a new part of that school life. Something new in your school career, something exciting. And that is not literal. That is a figurative meaning. Figurative language suggests more than the words themselves in order to achieve a special meaning or effect. A word or phrase is used other than in its literal or plain and ordinary meaning. Figurative language produces a special effect. So look at that again. I'm coming to the end of the senior phase and I'm starting on a new road, not a literal road, a figurative road. And so that figurative road will mean new hope, new expectations, a new teacher, a new stage in your life, growing up and maturing. All of that is in the figurative meaning of the word road. I want you to have a look at this. There's a poem that we do in our school called A Dry White Season by Mongani Wali Soroti. In this poem, the speaker doesn't actually tell you which season he's talking about. So you might feel a dry white season, that could be summer. Lots of heat, not enough rain, drought, and then the season would be white because there would be the sense of dryness. The earth is dry, dust blowing around, everything colorless because there's no color and life from the rain. So here, the figurative language of dry, I've given a whole lot of suggestions of things that you could say. Dead, no rain, waterless, nothing grows, lifeless, barren. A word that if you don't know, please would you put into your personal vocabulary lists. Barren, where nothing grows. Empty, unproductive, sterile. Again, sterile, something that is dead, unfruitful. And then white, if we're thinking this way, would be dead, but maybe you associate with dead and cold. So now perhaps you're saying, hang on a second, no, I don't think summer, maybe winter. A dry, white season. Maybe this is winter because dead is associated with cold. But again, lifeless, barren, empty, unproductive, sterile, infertile. So you've said it could be summer, it could be winter, but we're looking at all the negative connotations. None of this is positive. None of this is suggesting something hopeful or growing. This is all negative. It's dead and dying. It's horrible. If I then said to you, this poem is a poem written under apartheid. It has a subtitle for Don M. Banned. And we know that banned means when that person If a person was banned, for example, that person wasn't allowed to mix with other people, wasn't allowed to speak, wasn't allowed to go into groups. If a book was banned, you're not allowed to read it. If a magazine is banned, you can't read it, you can't even have it in your home. So suddenly, we look at the title with new eyes. Now, we're still looking for the figurative meaning, not a literal meaning, a figurative meaning. And it says a dry, white season. Now, obviously, white, if we're now looking at it as an apartheid political poem, white becomes white people in charge of this country, ruling this country, in control. And that white is very, very negative. It's more than just dry and barren and empty and sterile. It also becomes destructive. The injustices, the cruelty, the appalling treatment of people is now in that figurative meaning. So when we look at literal meaning, if I say something is dry, the desk is dry, there's no water on it. It's white, I'm wearing a white blouse. That's literal. But when you come to figurative, you're looking for the connotations. We talked about connotations in the previous segment. You're taking the denotative meaning, the denotation, but you're expanding it, and you're looking now for the figurative meaning. And remember, we use figurative meanings all the time in speech and writing. We're going to continue this in our next segment.